The Bauer case. Isn't it time we close the file on that one?
I'd love to, believe me, but justice hasn't been done.
Poetic justice, maybe. Nobody comes away from this one looking good, including us.
What Detective Curtis is saying is, we think you've got a case against the Good Shepherd Agency.
Against Stefan Montrose, you mean? The champion of the downtrodden?
Are you saying he's the killer?
No, but his agency failed to prevent the deaths. We feel he's responsible.
Oh, great.
Go ahead, I'm listening. Tell me why we should go after Montrose.
Montrose hat uns abblitzen und er hat Aaron in Gefahr, weil er hat den Ernst der Lage verkannt.
Law says a child welfare agency's got to check in with clients regularly.
And Good Shepherd didn't?
Gibt es einen Grund für die Vermutung? Ja, die haben keinen Strom gehabt. Sie hat gesagt, sie war nicht da und überhaupt, ja. Montrose hat behauptet, dass Bowers am Weihnachten... Die konnte sich aber nicht daran erinnern. Montrose wusste nicht, wo die Bowers wohnen. Miss Bowers hat angemerkt, dass die Sozialarbeiterin vorher noch nie getroffen hat. Das Erste.
Apparently not.
She drew a blank when we asked about her last visit.
And Montrose himself basically admitted that he ignores state procedure.
Are we going to stand by and let our social service agencies go rogue?
Jack, we don't have a case against him.
Not yet. Let's see what's in those case files.
Ja, prima. Da bin ich ja mal gespannt. Weiter geht's.
Here's the last record in the file.
What about the sensitive material from several years ago Montrose told us about?
Mysteriously missing.
Ja,
Christmas
natürlich.
Day, huh? That is one dedicated caseworker.
Ist es wahrscheinlich, dass Sozialarbeiterin Jenna und Aaron Bauer am Nachmittag des ersten Weihnachtsfeiertags in... Nein. Jenna hat zu dem Zeitpunkt noch geschlafen. Aaron war zu dem Zeitpunkt auf dem World Trade Center. Das außerdem Aaron war da schon tot. Die Bauers haben Weihnachten... So. Der hatte doch da so ein Ticket.
That's one lying caseworker. We got a ticket says Aaron Bauer was at the top of the World Trade Center at 2 that afternoon.
This report's a complete fabrication, no question. But who do we indict? Simplest thing would be to go after the caseworker, but...
Montrose says he prefers to be the point of contact with the city.
Then let's give him what he wants.
Na, dann bin ich ja mal gespannt. Mensch, das sind ja hier kurze Sachen diesmal, ne?
Throughout his career, Stefan Montrose has continually shone a light on the system's indifference to its most vulnerable citizens. Tuesday afternoon, the system struck back.
We know what the columns are saying, Miss Jameson. We intend to prove that Dr. Montrose is guilty as charged.
Manslaughter with gross negligence?
In addition to one count of falsification of records with intent to deceive.
I'm afraid you won't get the chance to present those records in court. I'm filing a motion to suppress.
Warum? Na, wieso? Okay, ich bin gespannt.
Paperwork went through the day before the subpoena was served. Good Shepherd is no longer run by the Archdiocese of New York. It's now an entirely private agency, administered through Dr. Montrose's holding company, New Directions.
So you propose to throw out the evidence because we put the wrong address on the subpoena? Of all the underhanded ploys.
The argument is technically correct. Improper service of a subpoena invalidates admissibility. The court finds for the motion.
Lächerlich.
Fine. We'll proceed without it.
Lächerlich.
Dr. Montrose, we've heard in graphic detail about the final days of Aaron Bauer. It's natural to feel pity and perhaps even outrage over the manner in which he died. So tell the court, are you in fact guilty of gross negligence?
No, I am not.
Let me read you a quote. Neglect is built into our current welfare system. The client is a mere asset to be kept or traded as it benefits the agency.
Ah, you're reading to me from my own book, The Empty High Chair, published last spring. My agency is different.
Indeed, Good Shepherd is distinguished for treating its clients with dignity, as individuals with needs. Isn't that right?
Ach ja, jetzt muss ich ja wieder darauf achten, wann kann ich denn Einspruch erheben, wann wird dem stattgegeben und wann nicht. Jetzt muss ich nochmal genau In der Tat, Good Shepherd unterscheidet sich dadurch, dass die Klienten mit Würde behandelt werden als Individuen mit Bedürfnissen, nicht wahr? Das ist, legt sie ihm das in den Mund oder, ich weiß es nicht, ja.
Objection!
Frage wurde beantwortet, keine Fachkenntnis, Suggestivfrage. Oder ich ziehe es einfach zurück, das kann ja manchmal auch hilfreich sein, ne? Suggestivfrage.
Leading. Defense is giving a speech for her client.
Sustained. Let's concentrate on the facts of this case, shall we?
Were you personally involved in the case of Aaron Bauer?
I involved myself personally in every one of my cases, and this was especially true with respect to Aaron.
How so?
When the Bauers first came to my attention, Aaron had been taken into state custody and shut away inside City Youth Home. I know that institution well. I spent my own formative years there. Nobody deserves to go to City Youth Home. Nobody.
And yet, despite your personal involvement in this case, Aaron Bauer was killed. How do you explain this?
One word. Drugs. First it was the crack epidemic. Now, just as that's beginning to subside, an even worse plague is sweeping through New York. It's a plague that destroys mostly those on the margins, so it's easy for the rest of us to ignore.
Do you have some ideas for addressing this problem?
Das hat doch mit dem Thema nichts zu tun und Ahnung hat er davon auch nicht. Der ist ja kein
Objection.
Irrelevant. Ist es. Also es ist irrelevant. Fakten sind nicht Teil der Beweisführung. Irreführung der Jury, das ist irrelevant.
Immaterial. The defendant is changing the subject.
Sustained. Please strike that last statement from the testimony. New York City is not on trial here.
Jenna Bauer lapsed back into addiction, unbeknownst to you, although your caseworker visited her as recently as Christmas Day.
I'm afraid that's correct. In spite of our vigilance, in spite of intensive therapy, the siren call of crystal meth proved too much for her. And once she began using again, she quickly became a danger to her son.
How did she manage to pull the wool over your eyes?
It's one of the most insidious aspects of the syndrome. I've seen it many times. The addict puts up a false front of normalcy. A front that can fool even a trained observer.
Ja, gute Frage. Also eigentlich... Das ist eins der heimtückischen Merkmale dieses Syndroms. Ich habe es schon oft erlebt. Der Süchtige baut eine falsche Fassade auf, die Normalität vortäuscht, eine Fassade, auf die selbst ein erfahrener Beobachter hereinfallen kann. Ja, aber er kann das nicht wissen. Pass auf, ich mache jetzt ja und hoffe, dass ich Einspruch erheben kann, weil er etwas beantwortet, was er gar nicht wissen kann über sie, ob sie das gemacht hat. Keine Fachkenntnisse, irrelevant, Provokation zurückgezogen. Oh. Hat er da Fachkenntnisse? Das weiß ich nicht. Was ist denn der? Der ist ja Doktor. Also, ich ziehe das zurück.
One last question.
Oh, das war richtig.
Has this tragedy caused you to re-examine your practice?
Naturally. We're thoroughly reviewing our procedures. We exist to serve our clients. The death of one impoverishes us all.
Of course. Thank you, Dr. Montrose. Your witness, Mr. McCoy.
Ja, das lief doch mal ganz gut, würde ich sagen. Das war doch gar nicht so übel jetzt. Und dann würde ich im nächsten Part an dieser Stelle das Verhör weitermachen. Und diesmal bin ich dann ja an der Stelle des Verhörenden. Und ja, ich bin sehr gespannt, ob wir den da verurteilt bekommen. Ich danke dir jetzt sehr fürs Zuschauen, dabei sein, mich begleiten und sag bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao, ciao.